Hey everyone! Today we're diving into a comforting Cantonese classic, baby oysters and pork mince soup with rice. Like the baby oysters pancake from my previous video, this dish has its roots in Chaozhou, a flavorful gem of Cantonese cuisine. Now I know this might seem like the next level of Asian cooking, but don't worry, it's simpler than it looks. We'll be using quite a few ingredients today, but I'll guide you through each one step by step to make it easy. You can also find the full recipe in the YouTube description below, so feel free to screenshot this part for your next trip to the Asian grocery. Let's get started. Let's start with the prep work. First, sprinkle a bit of corn flour over the baby oysters, then give them a gentle rinse with water. Next, add the ginger slices to a pot of water. We'll bring it to a boil a little later. Then, in a separate pot where we'll prepare the soup base, pour in the chicken stock. Next, rinse and drain the preserved vegetables. While you're at it, give the coriander a quick rinse and then cut it into small pieces. The preserved vegetable is a unique ingredient you'll need to pick up from a Chinese grocery store. In Chinese, it's known as winter vegetable. It adds a slightly salty flavor to our soup base and has a wonderfully chewy texture. I've put an example up on the screen, so feel free to screenshot it and show it to the staff at the grocery store if you need help finding it. Now let's start marinating the minced pork. Add sake, salt, and white pepper to the minced pork, then mix everything well to combine. This will give the pork a nice depth of flavor. By the way, I want to apologize for not mentioning earlier in the video to cut the shallots into pieces. So when you're cutting the coriander, please go ahead and chop the shallots at the same time. Now rinse the rice 3 times to get it nice and clean, then cook it in a rice cooker. I won't be showing how to use a rice cooker in this video, but I will show you the rinsing process to emphasize it should be done at least 3 times. As usual, I'm also adding some ground linseed and tricolor quinoa for extra nutrition, but these are optional. Next, drain the preserved vegetables and cut the Chinese mushrooms into slices. Now, even though they're called Chinese mushrooms, I actually prefer to buy ones grown in Japan when I shop at the Asian grocery. Be sure to remove the stem of the mushroom. One more thing, soak the mushrooms and dried shrimps in water overnight before cooking. This will soften them up. The dried shrimps will be used later in the recipe. Alright, let's get cooking. First, let's take care of the oysters. Turn on the heat and bring the pot of water with ginger to a boil. Add the oysters to the pot and cook them just until the skirts start to shrink. Once they're ready, drain them and set them aside. Season the cooked baby oysters by adding sake, salt, and a dash of white pepper powder. Give them a quick mix, then set them aside. Now, let's prepare the soup base. Turn on the heat, then add the mushrooms and soak dried shrimps to the pot with the chicken stock and bring it to a boil. Just a quick reminder, make sure your rice is ready before moving on to this step. Once the soup base comes to a boil, add the marinated minced pork. Stir everything well to combine the flavors. Here we go. Add the preserved vegetables to the pot and give it a good stir. This will infuse the soup with that unique, salty, chewy texture that balances the flavors beautifully. Traditionally, this recipe uses dried flounder, but since it's hard to find here, we'll use dashi powder instead. You can usually pick it up at a Japanese or Asian grocery, so no worries about finding it. Now go ahead and add the dashi powder to the soup base. I've made a couple of modifications to the original recipe since some ingredients can be hard to find outside of Asia. But don't worry, these tweaks don't change the authentic taste. I'd say they make it even better. Now, if you enjoyed this video and my channel, I'd love for you to subscribe, like, and share it with your friends and loved ones. Thank you so much. Now let's add the star of the day, the oysters. Once the pork is fully cooked, gently add the oysters to the soup. Now add sugar, fish sauce, and a dash of white pepper to the soup base. This will round out the flavors perfectly. Give it a quick stir to mix everything together. Now add the shallots and coriander. Normally, I'd say these are optional, but in this dish, they're highly recommended. Don't skip them. They add a fresh, vibrant flavor that really completes the soup. And that's it. Turn off the heat, and if you prefer a bolder flavor, add an extra dash of white pepper. Then, grab a bowl of rice, pour the soup over the top, and it's ready to serve. I hope you enjoyed this video and that your family and kids love the dish. Enjoy, and I'll see you next week.